The Putin and Trump story started life on a conspiracy website called someonesbones.com, but has now been picked up by two different mainstream UK national newspapers. This is on top of the warnings they have already issued about Planet 9 tilting the whole solar system, massive Russian training exercises involving 40 million people, and Putin calling all Russian citizens back home. All of these warnings have come from the same UK media outlets, who appear at the moment to be leading the way with regard to information pertaining to the disclosure of the Nemesis star system. Although they themselves don't call it that, and just refer to it as Planet X or Nibiru. My own personal view is that neither Trump or Putin will disclose the real truth about what is going on. I believe the release of two news articles that we will look at later on in this video, along with previous controlled releases of information, is so that they don't have to disclose anything at all. If Trump or Putin were to make such an announcement, there would be global panic with commodities and financial markets collapsing overnight, along with uncontrollable rioting worldwide, which would only serve to make our global elite's goal to escape this inevitable cataclysm all the more difficult. They do want people to know, but only on their terms, and in a carefully orchestrated drip feed of information, just like we have been seeing for the last 12 months now. As the Illuminati have always stated, it would be ungentlemanly-like of them not to tell us what their plans are well in advance. There will be no announcement. Don't be fooled by this disinformation. Over time you will no doubt come across more news articles also claiming that full disclosure is about to happen, but as with the Someone's Bones news article, they will be impossible to verify. What you need to realize is that these mainstream news articles themselves are our disclosure. That is all you will get, and nothing more. Our evil rulers will save themselves. However, it does look like Putin has prepared for the arrival of the Nemesis star system, because he ordered the construction of 5,000 additional underground bunkers back in November 2010 to house even more of Russia's population. Military contractor Deagle.com even supports this fact with their 2015 population forecast for the year 2025, which shows that Russia's current population of 142 million only goes down to 140 million. The UK, on the other hand, have built no underground bunkers whatsoever to house any of its population. Once again though, Deagle.com supports this premise because they show the current UK population at 64 million, however their projection for the year 2025 goes all the way down to 19 million. Such a substantial reduction in population shows that anyone living in the UK will be left to perish above ground while the elite run to their fully stocked and well-prepared bunkers to try and ride out the cataclysm that the Nemesis star system will inflict upon us all.
New emergency bomb shelters will be created in Moscow. The city has just given architects the task of coming up with the designs. So let's speak to our correspondent Ivor Bennett to get a few more details on this. So Ivor, why do the authorities want these shelters building? That's the big question.
Why? Well, it's because there are only enough shelters at the moment in the city to house and shelter around half the city's population, which, compared to other places in the world, isn't out of the ordinary. That figure is sort of 50% coverage. For example, Switzerland is the only country where there are enough shelters for the entire country's population. But Moscow wants to build another 5,000 shelters, not necessarily because it's expecting nuclear war. We shouldn't be running for cover or anything like that. It's a precaution, because in the last 20 years, this area has been very underdeveloped. The current shelters, a lot of them are outdated and unprepared for this situation. A lot of them have been privatised, for example, and are now restaurants or bars. The Moscow metro system, that was specifically built, its station specifically built very deep underground so they could double as air raid shelters. For example, the station I'm standing outside right now, Mayakovskaya station, that did just that during the Second World War. And in 1943, it famously was the site where Stalin addressed party leaders and ordinary Muscovites in a Communist Party meeting during the Second World War. But these shelters, 5,000 will be built because basically there aren't enough at the moment, and in the next 2 years the plans will be developed for their construction.
Okay, so we've got the time frame, but Ivor, where are they going to be located and what will they look like?
Well, they'll actually be quite small, hence the high number of them, 5,000, and they'll be dotted around all over the city because the metro system at the moment, in the outskirts especially, is quite far away from where a lot of people live, and the authorities say that in the event of a nuclear outbreak, people need to reach one of these shelters within a matter of minutes. So they'll be basically where people congregate, so underneath apartment blocks, underneath shopping centres, sports complexes, parks, places like that. And they won't be very deep, not as deep as the metro system, around 10 or 15 metres deep underground. And there hasn't been any mention of cost yet, but a prototype is being developed at the moment. The architects have been tasked with that, and so that this uniform prototype will be developed, and that apparently will speed up production by 10 to 15%.
OK, Ivor. Comforting to know they'll be there. Let's hope they'll never be needed. Thanks very much, our correspondent Ivor Bennett.
a show of force from the Russian Defense Ministry. This large-scale military drill involved 8,500 troops, about 900 military vehicles, 50 warships and up to 200 warplanes on the annexed Crimean Peninsula and in the southern Krasnodar region. Russia's carried out several unannounced military drills since relations with the West deteriorated over the Ukraine crisis, with Moscow criticising what it says is a build-up of NATO forces near Russia's borders. Back in January, Russia said it would form 4 new military divisions this year to strengthen its western and central regions. Just a day before this drill on the 11th of February, NATO agreed its boldest steps yet to deter Russia from any attacks in the Baltics or Eastern Europe, setting out ways to rapidly deploy air, naval and ground forces without resorting to Cold War-era military bases. Last year, Russia started targeting Syria with airstrikes that it says are aimed at Islamic State, but which Turkey, Arab states and the West say are mostly aimed at other opponents of Assad. Russia's intervention in Syria has made an already complicated situation more complex, testing the NATO alliance's ability to deter a newly assertive Moscow without seeking direct confrontation.
look at the landscape around us and how remote this is. And then jutting out of the side of this Arctic mountain is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. And we have all been very excited to actually get inside and see for ourselves how what's being done here plays a very vital role when it comes to trying to mitigate against the consequences of climate change. So this is it.
This is it. This is the vault. This is what is built for humanity to survive. This is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It's here since 2008, built by the government of Norway, and it's one of the most amazing things you're going to see in your life. Yeah, they look funny, but they protect you against ice falling down in the vault.
It's that cold.
It's that cold. So that's about 150 meters down into the mountain. This is becoming the permafrost here in granite. They built this like they built the tunnels in the Alps with a big machine, a big excavator. Took about 2 years to build, and it's built to last for a very long time. This is meant to be your way out if the power fails, if there is no lights, so you find your way out of the vault. So the seed deposit works like with any bank and a safe deposit storage in the basement of the bank. You bring your own seeds. You as a depositing institution, you own them and you keep them, and only you can determine what happens with them. This is the main door to the active vault, one of the 3 vaults that we have. It's all frozen up because inside it's minus 18 Celsius year round. And this is typically the place everyone wants to have a picture taken. This is world agriculture behind that door. Everything you're going to need for the world to survive in terms of agriculture is safely kept here for the future. We have 860,000 types of crops. Each probe has 100 to 1,000 corns. So if you look at the number of individual grains in here, it could be close to 1 billion.
My nose is gonna fall off already.
You need to keep warm here with everything that you can. And when you go inside, it gets colder because of the draft of the AC. You could go back to Svalbard and recreate agriculture in the world, which I find an amazing concept.
In the event of a cataclysmic occurrence, this would stay and preserve these seeds for how long?
We have minus 18 Celsius in here. It would go up to minus 8, minus 7 after a few years. But then even at that temperature, most of the seeds can stay for many, many years, 10, 20, 30 years time. So you have a lot of time to think about what to do, even if power fails here and doesn't get restored. It's a safe place.
It is truly remarkable and such a unique experience. The general population doesn't have access to this vault, and we're among the few who have actually been inside. And as Michael said, it really does make you pause and think about how what is being done here is really helping to safeguard our future.
Former Russian ambassador Mike McFaul. Yeah. And we talked about the idea that every once you got to respond when they're hacking. You got to do something. He described it as a high hard one. Maybe just sort of like in baseball, you throw a high hard one to send a message. Why don't we send a message yet to Putin?
We're sending a message. We have the capacity to do it, and the message
He'll know it.
He'll know it. And it'll be at the time of our choosing and under the circumstances that have the greatest impact. Is not what people think. And I tell you what, to the extent that they do, we will be proportional in what we do. And
so a message is going to be sent. Will the public know?
I hope not.